This is Smart Poker Study episode 188, answering your questions about playing online poker with restrictions, making better bluffs, and improving your software usage skills. In last week's episode number 187, I discussed how to get more bread and butter out of your poker play sessions and how to avoid those non-bread and butter spots. It's poker study time, y'all! Thank you so much for joining me on this poker journey and for spreading the word to your poker playing friends. I really do appreciate it, and that's exactly how we grow people, by you telling a friend. If you enjoy this podcast and you learn a little something from it every single week, I would really appreciate if you started supporting me on Patreon. Your support shows me that you enjoy the show and that you want me to keep on keeping on, never stop, never stopping with this whole podcasting gig. So to start your support, go to patreon.com/smartpokerstudy. And when you go there, you can select a different level of support, and each level comes with its own set of rewards attached. For example, if you support at the $10 level, you get a bonus monthly podcast and a bonus monthly training video. The $5 level gets that bonus monthly podcast. So once you begin your support on Patreon, you actually get that month's, the current month's reward, as well as access to the archive of all this patron-only content. I have like 18 videos and 18 or even 20 podcasts by now for you to access. Stuff that can't be heard any other way other than through your Patreon support. So if you'd like to support, please visit patreon.com/smartpokerstudy to get started. All right, it's Q&A time. We have 3 of them today from DL, Andreas, and Hans. Please visit the show notes page for everything I discussed today, along with screenshots and links at www.smartpokerstudy.com/pod188. Okay, gambate!
This is damn exciting stuff.
Our first question today comes to us from DL, and it's about playing online poker with restrictions. And it's not really a question. We had a back and forth email exchange, and within the email, he presented a situation that he's in right now. He's tilting over the fact that some online sites, they don't allow the use of HUDs, nor the use of certain software like Flopzilla. DL is so used to using them that not being able to has hampered his play and his motivation, so he's kind of tilting because of it. And at the end of the email, he asked me a question: any advice on how to get unstuck and just start over? Just stop whining, buckle down, and get to it? All right, well, thank you very much for that, our email exchange there, DL. So, just this past Monday, I put up a Minimum Effective Dose Monday episode, and it's called Playing Poker, but without a HUD? And you can find that by going to smartpokerstudy.com/medmonday. Currently, it is it's the audio file at the top of the page right there. And along with that, I also have an MED action and the MED idea, the main takeaways. And this MED podcast was based on an article from Nathan Williams at BlackRain79. The article itself was called Poker HUDs Banned Where You Play? 5 Easy Ways to Get Reads. And it was a really good article. Of course, in that MED Monday episode, I read the whole thing for you right there, but please check it out for yourself. So it's totally possible to be profitable and to play good poker online without using a HUD. Just imagine all those live players, tournament and cash games. They do it HUD-less all the time, and they're able to come up with reads and exploit opponents without the use of a HUD and without the use of software, in-game software use. So in all, what I want you to do, DL, and everybody else who has to deal with these restrictions, treat them not like restrictions, but instead treat them like challenges to overcome in order to turn yourself into a better poker player. Once you develop some no HUD and no software skills, you'll be an even better online player. And of course, if you occasionally go to the live realm, a better live player as well. Because you can't use things like Flopzilla while you play, you want to do more off-the-felt work to help you when you're on the felt. So here's what I recommend for you, DL, and for everybody else. Now, one thing, if you're using Flopzilla as you're playing, most sites do not allow it, so you're going against their terms of service, and if they somehow find out, you can be kicked off, confiscate your money, all that jazz. So don't risk it. Definitely don't risk it. But here's what you can do. You can create 4 different range 1 sheets to reference as you play. So for these 4 sheets, you'll have 1 sheet for 2-bet ranges, another for 2-bet calling ranges, another for 3-bet ranges, and a 4th sheet for 3-bet calling ranges. What you'll do is you'll include a screenshot of each range along with the combo counts and percentage form for each, so you have a 15% along with the number of the combo counts that equates to, as well as what the range looks like. Now, the way you use these sheets is you're going to put your opponent on a range. Let's just say, for example, you can put them on a roughly 15% calling range. What you can do on these sheets is you can also include how well these ranges hit various boards. So a 15% calling range, it hits an ace 9 deuce rainbow board 35% of the time. But it hits a jack 9 8 two-tone board 54% of the time. So if you're facing one of those two boards and you put them on that 15% range, and now you want to value bet or possibly bluff post-flop, you can use what you see right there in front of you on that piece of paper to help you make better bluffs or better value c-bets. Now, to answer that one question that you did ask, DL, and I've said this before in the podcast, yes, no whining. Every bad thing or situation that happens to you, take it as or treat it like it's your own fault. Do not blame others. Don't blame the poker sites. Don't blame dealers. Don't blame the cards. Don't blame the poker gods. None of that stuff. Blaming others won't solve your problems. What you need to do is take responsibility and deal with every problem in the best way that you can. So right now you're presented with a problem of, hey buddy, no software and no HUDs. You got to play just like it was live. Well, the recommendations that I made just a second ago, that's going to help you deal with this situation in the best way that you can. But I'm sure that you can come up with other helpful responses to maybe make yourself an even better player and get around those restrictions. Treat them, like I said, as challenges to overcome. All right, thanks for that email exchange, DL. I appreciate it. So, question 2 today comes to us from Andreas Roeder, and it's about making better bluffs. And he says, very simply, I am interested in learning about bluffs, steals, and re-steals. So thank you very much, Andreas, for that question. Now, bluffing and stealing, they are super important aspects. Before you click the button to steal, or if you throw out those live chips to make a steal or make a bluff, ask yourself this very important question. Can my opponent fold here? Now, that's actually the question to end all questions when you're bluffing. It's the mother of bluffing questions is what it is. Can my opponent fold here? So here are some things to help you answer this. First, how does their range interact with the board? Let's say you're playing online and you created some of those range and board interaction sheets that I just talked about in that prior section or that prior question. Great. You can use that to gauge how often they hit. If they hit these boards very infrequently, great. Your bet has a better chance, or your bluff bet has a better chance of working. If they hit it super hard, like on that Jack 9-8 two-tone board, they hit 54% of the time, your bet has a very small chance of working. Your bluff bet has a small chance right there. The next thing you can consider is their player type. Of course, nits and tags are the most likely to fold because they don't like to go too far in a hand or put in too much money in a pot without a strong hand. Lags and whales, of course, they can call more often as they like to chase draws and they hope their second pair, third pair, ace-high hands are good. Another thing that you'll want to do is before you make the bluff, name the better hands that they can fold. So for example, on that ace-9 deuce board, you might say to yourself, my bet can get them to fold under pairs and random kings and random queen hands. Even second pair will fold because I raised pre-flop and I have a lot of aces in my range. So if you can name a lot of hands that they can fold, then you are thinking through your bet and it's more likely to work. And of course, if you're playing online, take a look at their stats. Look at their fold to c-bet on whatever street that you're thinking about bluffing on. Look at their check raise versus c-bet. Look at their fold to just straight up bet. Look at their donk bet. Look at all those different stats to help you gauge how they're going to respond to your bet. Now, if they fold greater than 60%, your bluff is more likely to work. Another thing too is consider your position. In-position bluffs work better than out-of-position bluffs because a lot of players don't like to hit the next street knowing that if they check, you're just going to bet again. And they might, they don't want to check call this street and then just check fold the next street. The last thing I want to talk about is sizing. Too many people call half-pot bets nowadays. You've got to make it 2/3 or greater to get opponents to fold, especially on the flop. You can also make special double-barrel betting strategies. For example, you can bet, and I talked about this in a prior podcast, it might have been a Walking Wednesday episode. You can bet 1/3 pot on the flop, then increase it to 1/2 or even 2/3 bet on the turn. This saves your flop and your turn bluff some money because the pot's a little bit smaller because you made smaller bets on prior streets, and it looks incredibly strong. You know, basically, you went from 1/3 pot to now half or even 2/3 pot. It's like you were trying to extract some value on the flop. Now on the turn, you're trying to extract even more value. 2 quick shoutouts today. The first goes out to Paul Fleischer, who recently purchased my Smart HUD. He went to smartpokerstudy.com/smarthud and made the purchase there. And very simply, he is using this to exploit his opponents. The Smart HUD contains 6 custom pop-ups, and the HUD itself, along with the pop-ups, have a plethora of stats to help you gauge how your opponents react in different situations. There are various frequencies where you can exploit them and whatnot. So, Paul, good luck in using that HUD. Good luck in learning it. There's so much information there. Take it one small step at a time. Learn the entire HUD, then spend, 3 full sessions working on the C-bet pop-up, 3 full sessions on the 3-bet pop-up, 3 full sessions on the 2-bet then fold pop-up. All that stuff, you've got your work cut out for you, Paul, and anybody else who purchases a Smart HUD. And the second shout out goes to Daryl Rogers, who purchased my Poker Mathematics webinar. Now, this was actually a webinar done with me and Mark Warner of exceptionalpoker.com. And the two of us covered so many different poker mathematics topics, from EV to hand reading, outs and odds, implied odds, all that kind, just anything math you can think of, we discussed in this webinar. It's a ton of information. So Daryl and anybody else who purchases it, what you've got to do is take it one step at a time, go through your database with whatever topic we discussed throughout the webinar, and start filtering through hands, looking through the different mathematical choices, or the different choices that you have. Look at them from a mathematical perspective. Were you making good bluffs with your various bet sizings? Are they going to work often enough with how much you decided to bet? What about your calls on draws? Were you getting the requisite equity to make a profitable call? It's going to take a lot of work, Daryl, but good luck to you. For anybody who wants to purchase the Poker Mathematics webinar, just go to the show notes page for today. There's a link right there to get $5 off, just like Daryl did. Alrighty, back to class, poker people. So question 3 today is about improved software usage, and this one comes to us from Hans, and he said, very simply, I want to understand Poker Tracker 4 and how to use it. Well, thank you so much, Hans, for that email. Now, learning how to use Poker Tracker 4, it just comes with experience. I wasn't able to build my HUDs and my pop-ups. I didn't understand how to use these filters and change up reports and use the graphs. I didn't figure that out in 15 minutes. It took me a long time of constant use day in and day out in my study sessions using the HUD as I was playing, and then reviewing hands, reviewing my opponents, all that kind of stuff. It just took so much work off of the felt. So what I recommend to you, Hans, and to everybody else who wants to get better with Poker Tracker 4, or Hold'em Manager 2 as well, you need to dedicate 15 minutes per day to just reviewing hands, running filters, looking at reports, configuring things, creating HUDs, making pop-ups. You just basically need to see what the program can do and get in there and start freaking doing it. And as you mess with it, new ideas will pop up in your head and you'll try to do them, like filtering for specific situations or running specific reports to find the most aggressive 3-bet winners, that kind of thing. Now, one of my favorite mottos is this: the more you do, the more you can do. So just get in there and use the program repeatedly. Also, I want you to run Google and YouTube searches for videos related to the software. So if you just do a Google or YouTube, how to use Poker Tracker 4, bam! Tons of different videos are going to pop up. And then if you go to the show notes page, there is a link right there, which is a link to my playlist of Poker Tracker 4 videos, which have a lot of different Poker Tracker 4 videos that show you what I use the program for. Whatever videos you end up watching, follow along and copy exactly what the video creator is doing. Don't do anything with hands from your own database just yet. Try to match their exact inputs and get the same results. If you do this successfully, that's when you can start using your own database of hands, or creating your own HUDs or pop-ups, or doing whatever for your own studies. And now there's plenty of other software. And DL from the first question from today can appreciate this. There's software like Flopzilla, Equilab, PioSolver, CREV. You can do the same thing. Google videos for how to use these various softwares and just copy what they're doing. Simple. The more you do, the more you can do. So get on it, Hans, and everybody else. And thanks for that question, Hans. Challenge! Here's my challenge to you for this episode. Get in there and build experience with your chosen software. Do you want to learn Flopzilla, Poker Tracker 4, Pio Solver, or CREV? Find some videos on YouTube and copy what they're doing as you watch. Then, use your own database and repeat the steps with your hands. Commit to just 15 minutes per day for the next week, and I guarantee you'll get more out of the software. Now it's your turn to take action and dippy do something positive for your poker game.
Oh, that's it now. Get out there and be somebody. Go write a book.
This episode isn't complete until you head to the show notes page at www.smartpokerstudy.com/pod188. Go there for screenshots and links to the videos, links on ways you can support this podcast. Everything I discussed today is right there on the show notes page. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you enable my Alexa flash briefing skill. Just search for Smart Poker Study in the Amazon store. Also, if you can type or say the word Smart Poker Study, you can find me on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And of course, send those questions my way, sky@smartpokerstudy.com. Alrighty, poker peeps, next week in episode 189, I'll hit you with a brand spanking new leak to plug. Word of mouth is the best advertising, so thank you very much for sharing the show with other poker people. Your sharing and caring is what helps us grow. Until next time, study smart, play much, and make your next session the best one yet.